I was exhausted for years, not just tired, exhausted. And I didn't know why. I scheduled an appointment with my regular doctor under insurance, went in, had a conversation, left with a prescription I never filled, a hypothyroid diagnosis. And they could not run the tests that I wanted to run to find out if there were alternative ways for me to work with my thyroid. The doctor actually told me, I can't order those tests. My system won't let me because I had a diagnosis. I had to just get a prescription. The only tests she could run were the ones that went directly for the prescription. This is what's happening in healthcare. If you're exhausted and you're looking for a different way, keep watching this video. I'm going to share my personal story of how this all changed and what it is that I did to find how to get help outside of the traditional healthcare system. So, I'm going to start with what is actually happening in the traditional system when it comes to how they diagnose. So, everything runs on coding. Billing coding, diagnosis coding, prescription coding. So everything is in a specific structure. And anything that doesn't fall within that structure, you can't get help with. This is my example. And I just want to put out here a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not self diagnosing or doing any of that. I'm asking questions and getting help outside of the traditional healthcare system, specifically for what it is that my body requires. So I'm not saying that prescriptions are bad or doctors are bad or any of that. I'm just saying for me, I didn't want to take a prescription if I didn't have to. Now, there are medications that people have to take. They have to take them in order for their body to function. I was asking the question, can I research and look at different labs and try something different to see if my body responds? The doctor in the insurance system couldn't do that. They are required to run specific tests, and the lab ranges for these tests are showing either sick or not sick. They're not showing the nuances of why, what's causing this. And they're also not doing multiple tests. They're just running the standard tests. So for me, my thyroid function, they were only running specific thyroid panels and excluding ones, antibodies, and other stuff that actually I needed information around to know exactly what was going on. So, this is because they are trained, taught, and follow this, they have to follow that based on insurance. They have to follow these protocols based on how the system is set up. But there are functional medicine, functional nutrition, doctors, physicians, nurse practitioners, functional medicine nutritionists that can look at other labs. They can because they're allowed because they're not under insurance. So I actually went and worked with a functional nutritionist. And I'm going to tell you later on in this video exactly the outcome that happened. So once I started working with a functional nutritionist, one of the things that came up was my insulin resistance, blood sugar levels, and I'm not diabetic. I have a history of PCOS, which is linked to insulin resistance, which again is tied to the thyroid. Everything is connected in our body. And so the functional medicine doctors look at how everything is connected and one thing could be skewing another thing. So one of the things that I did is I got tested for these other types of testing that are directly linked to my thyroid function. And within those tests, ran a test for how I'm processing the nutrients that I'm eating. What am I eating? I actually logged my food, shared it with my functional nutritionist, and she was able to go through and say, okay, let's test your blood sugar. So I got a glucose monitor. You can do this at home. I'm not recommending you do anything without talking to your practitioner, functional medicine doctor, or somebody that's helping. But this is what I did. I'm just sharing my story. So I tested my own blood sugar. I also have a background in healthcare. So I have an understanding of a lot of these terms, topics, things like that. For those of you who don't, get a functional medicine doctor. I'm just saying that because it was so incredibly helpful for me. So I was testing my blood sugar when I was eating to find out what foods were doing certain things with my blood sugar. And through the testing, through my food, through the lifestyle things that I was doing, we were able to identify exactly what was going on and how things were linked together that were actually affecting my thyroid. So, eating specific foods for me and how my body functions. I have PCOS, I have insulin resistance, I have low thyroid, and I'm perimenopausal. So, like, that's a lot. The traditional medical professionals don't have time. It's not their fault. I am not blaming the physicians. When they work in an insurance system, they have to see a certain number of patients every single day. They have to work within the system because that's where the money comes from. So they have to limit their appointments so they don't have time to dig deeper, ask questions. The system actually won't even let them order labs. So my doctor couldn't even order the extra labs to test for antibodies, to do these outside tests around what was happening with me because it wasn't directly linked to a prescription for thyroid medication. So again, this is my story. I wanted to see what I could do for myself in lifestyle changes and if there was anything else I could do. Well, I'm going to say this is 9 months after I started working with functional medicine. I'm not taking the thyroid prescription. My thyroid is functioning better. I'm not going to say it's completely 100%. I'm 53 years old. So stuff's happening. My body's working through stuff. But I will say I'm not tired anymore. I'm not exhausted. I'm getting up at 5:30 like I normally do. I'm cooking, cleaning, walking my dogs, doing yoga, doing tai chi, doing stuff around the house that I could not do. I could barely take a shower. I was that tired. And now, because I've aligned my eating, aligned my exercise, and it all started with metabolic health that I didn't know. I was educated and tests were run. What is my body actually doing? I'm not taking any prescriptions that are for my thyroid. So, this is something that we can take responsibility for our own health. Again, I'm going to say this to make sure people get it. Don't just go rogue. Don't go on AI and start asking a bunch of questions and diagnosing yourself and all that. Work with your providers. So, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did and how I got there. And then if you have a similar situation happening where you're going to the doctor and you're not getting answers and they're just filling prescriptions for you and you're not feeling better, comment below. Tell us what's going on. Tell us your frustration. Tell us if you have questions. I answer as many as I can, but just getting a dialogue around it is going to bring the awareness level. So it's important that we know what's happening with our own bodies and we talk to a professional who can monitor this. So here's what I did. I have my regular doctor under insurance. I knew how much they could do for me. So I had them run. I did this because money's important too. So I have this insurance plan where I'm paying for things and it covers certain things. So I used my regular doctor to run labs that she was allowed to do. So she ran all of the regular thyroid labs, regular CBC, like all of the things that they're allowed to do for like a regular physical. And I took those labs to my functional nutritionist and I had them fill in the gaps. I said, okay, based on these labs, what more do you need to fill in the blanks to actually give you a full picture of what's happening with me so that we could work together and have a plan and lay out a plan of how I could work towards that. So it's exactly what we did. She filled in all the stuff that she needed as far as testing goes for other things that couldn't be tested through my doctor. And guess what? I got a full picture and we set out a plan. And again, I did this monitored, checking in, getting labs. And the best thing you can do is how are you feeling? So every check in for me was like, how is my fatigue getting better? How's my sleep getting better? What are things that I couldn't do before? Taking a shower was hard. Now I'm taking a shower and I'm comfortable and I'm not tired and exhausted afterwards and have to take a nap. I'm actually doing things in my real life that feel better. And I just told my husband the other day, I was like, I can't even believe how far I've come. Makes me a little emotional to talk about it, but I feel so good now. I'm actually energetic, doing things that I wasn't doing 9 months ago. And that was happening for years. So I'm pretty passionate about this. That's why I have the Centered Care Directory. It is where people can find the practitioners that are outside of the insurance system. There are hundreds of thousands of them across the country. We just can't find them. So I created the directory. You can go search in the directory by specialty, by location, by keywords. You can just type in fatigue. And if they have that in the description, it's going to pop in. Functional medicine, there's nutritionists, there's hormonal health, mental health, therapy, pain management, you name it, it's in there. So go search in the directory, find someone that's going to collaborate with you and fill in the blanks of what you're missing from your regular doctor. That's why I'm doing this video really, is to say that there's a gap and we can actually use what we have and find where to fill in the parts that are missing. So search the directory, subscribe to this channel if you're finding this information helpful, share it with somebody. I would love if you would share the channel with somebody who might be struggling in their healthcare and they need more information and how to find the right practitioner. So share the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.